Welcome to the M&M Show. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Maddie.
And I'm Lilianne.
And we're your hosts.
On the show, we talk about your favorite celebrities and their lives and give our opinions that nobody asked for.
And today we'll be questioning one of the leads in our school's cast, or our school's musical, Mean Girls. We split it up into the three categories, so we'll start with like pre-production type questions. So I'll start. What was the casting process for Mean Girls like?
So we have our initial auditions in May, and that's like you're in the show or you're not in the show, because with Mean Girls it's the spring show, so it's 8th period. So it's on our schedule, and it makes it so much easier, because then if we have rehearsal after school and it's a B day, then we can just go straight into rehearsal. And it adds a whole nother hour, and it's so nice. So we have our initial auditions, and then around September we get the scripts, and then we do self callbacks. So they'll say, okay, who wants to audition for Karen? And then if you want to audition for Karen, anybody that wants to stands up, and then you do it for the whole class. Then after they've gone through all of those characters, then they post a list, and they're like, these are the people that we want to see come back for these roles. And then you do a special day, and then you come back and like you sing what they want you to sing, and you read what they want you to read for those characters. And then usually they post the cast list later that night.
Oh, okay, wow.
So
it all happens in like the span of a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's bonkers.
Did you want to be Gretchen?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that was for spring, so is it different for winter?
So for the fall show, it's a very similar process. Once again, you also audition in May to see if you're going to be in the show or not. But then the day after graduation, usually, that's when they do callbacks for that, for the fall show. So for Beauty and the Beast, they did callbacks at the end of May.
Oh, okay, wow. So
yeah.
that's like
Do they do that for the summer?
So you have the entire summer to memorize all your lines, and then we have a week of boot camp. And that's when our choreographer lives in New York, well now in LA, and he's been on Broadway, and he's been on like TV, he's done commercials and stuff. He's really, really good. So he flies down for a week, and we have 5 days to learn every single dance in the entire show.
Oh my god.
Wow, that
And
seems
it's
like
pretty
a lot.
crazy. So
That
yeah, we
is
do a
crazy.
lot of work over the summer.
Wow, that's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
And were you in Beauty and the Beast?
I was, yeah.
What did you play?
I was a silly girl. It was so much fun. I love being a silly
Oh
girl.
yeah, did you go and see the show, Maddie? No,
I
you
didn't.
Did you go see Mean Girls?
I did.
Okay.
I saw Mean Girls. I didn't see Beauty and the Beast.
I saw it. It was good.
It was a lot of fun.
Did you have any like casting process drama? Like were people upset or yada yada yada?
There's always drama. That's why it's called drama, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people get upset, and usually there's at least a few rumors being spread, like this is why this person got that role, and this is why this person got that role. But I didn't hear of any for either of these shows.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I feel like this year we've had such supportive casts in both shows. Everybody's just like, yeah, they deserve that. And it's just a really good environment this year.
that's
for me,
great.
at least.
Who got cut that shouldn't have, and then like who got a role that probably shouldn't have gotten a role, in your opinion?
That's a crazy question. That's actually
Because like I know that can happen a lot of times for like sports and stuff, especially like with seniors. Like sometimes they'll give a sophomore a senior spot, and then and like vice versa and whatever, or not vice versa, just the one way.
Yeah.
I feel like, me personally, I have a lot of trust in our directors. So like I know that whoever they choose to play these roles, they're gonna kill it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any personal opinions on that. I feel like the way that both of the shows, all of the shows, have gotten casted this year is just perfect. Because
Well, that's great.
you have some questions and you're like, oh, okay. But then once you see them do it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense now. You know?
Okay, yeah.
It's just a lot of trust. You just gotta trust the directors.
Because they know what they're doing at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're really good at it.
Yeah.
Who is most alike their character in real life?
Hattie in a heartbeat. She played Karen. And we got really, really close because our characters are like best friends, right? Karen and Gretchen, they're iconic.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of moments where we just accidentally slip into character. She'll do something stupid and then I have to correct her, and it happened a lot, but she's my favorite. She's so sweet. I love Hattie so much.
Oh, that's cute.
Who chose Mean Girls?
So usually around January, I think, the directors start thinking of next year's shows. And I remember Coates saying that they were talking to the principal, and he was like, I want to do something that we have a problem with. So, and Mr. Smith is a closeted hardcore Mean Girls fan. It's his favorite show. He's constantly fangirling about it.
Oh, really?
And there was one day during an assembly, he came up to us because there were a bunch of us sitting on the front row, and he goes, is there the trust fall scene, because it's his favorite part of the whole show, and it was so sweet. So Mr. Smith was a big advocate for this show, and I'm so glad. It's my dream show, and so I'm so glad that I got to do it my senior year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is
yeah.
really cool. And is it all the directors who choose it? Okay.
Just
Who were
Coates and
the
Martin.
directors?
So Coates does acting and makes most of like the big choices. Mrs. Martin does our music, and Brayden does choreography. And we had a student assistant director, and it was Ryland Thomason. He helps direct it with Coates.
That's nice. That's awesome. So why did you begin with like theater, and what were the challenges that you faced?
So I grew up watching my older sister perform. We love to do shows at a community theater called the Terrace Plaza Playhouse in Washington Terrace. It's like my second home. I love it there. So when I was 6 years old, actually I was 5 when this happened, I was watching my little sister in Scrooge at the Terrace, older sister, and that was when I was like, my turn, I want to do it now. So then I did Scrooge that next year, and now I've been in that show 6 times, and I'm gonna do it again in this winter.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, yeah, it's like a family tradition. We always do Scrooge. We've had at least one person in it every single year since my older sister started. She started when she was like 6.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And when it comes to challenges, the main challenge is trying to balance theater and school.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work, because once we get to like the last 2 weeks before the show, we're here until 9 p.m. every single day.
Oh, okay.
So, and being a lead for this one, I was on stage constantly. I didn't have any time to sit down and just do homework or anything.
Yeah.
But with Beauty and the Beast, we had a lot more time because we were not on stage during Act 2. We were in Human again, and then Mob Song, and then the end, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the main challenge, balancing school and theater.
And during the show, like when it's playing too, like that must be.
Yeah,
really hard.
it's exhausting. Like, you will see all of us theater kids. You know it's show week when you see a bunch of kids walking around in show hoodies, no makeup, messy hair. We just look disgusting and foul, and that's how you know it's show week.
I love that. Yeah. This is not on there, but for both shows, if you could have picked whatever like role you wanted, what would you have picked for both?
That's a really good question. I feel like during the audition process, specifically with Beauty and the Beast, I wouldn't have chosen to be a silly girl. I just wouldn't have. I would have taken anything else, because like that's like nothing. It's my senior year, but getting to do it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is probably my favorite role I've ever done in my entire life.
Really?
It was so fun, because like we had some special moments, but we were also like, whenever we were on stage as the silly girls, we were the comedic relief, and it was so fun to just get to be silly and, you know, do whatever I wanted on stage. So I wouldn't change that one at all. And with Mean Girls, once again, in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, I get to play Gretchen, but at the same time I was like, but also like Katie, you know, because you know, she's the main character. Everybody wants to be Katie.
Yeah.
But same thing, like it was fun to get to be a lead, but not have all of that extra work to do being like the main character. Like, I still had to memorize lines, and I still had to like go to a bunch of special rehearsals for scenes and stuff, but it was just the right amount of work to the point where it wasn't overwhelming or anything.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
That is
really had a
nice,
good time with both of them. So like, I wouldn't change it. I had a good time.
Nice. That's good.
Okay, who's got it worse, the actors or the directors?
Oh, that's really hard. Honestly, I'd probably say the directors. For being completely honest, because they're here more than we are.
That's true.
And they also have to put up with our crap. And it's a bunch, it's, for the fall show, it was like, what, 80 hangry teenagers that you have to hang out with all day, every day.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
come on, that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
And then they also have to cast the show, and they've told us how horrible casting is.
Oh, really?
Because it sucks to have to make that decision, because they've said multiple times, every single person that's auditioned for these roles could play any of them. So at this point, it's just a puzzle trying to figure out who would be best to go where, who works best together, and all of this kind of stuff. And so it just kind of sucks. And for one act, we had to cast it ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And I hated it so much. So like, having been a director before, I can 100% say directors have it worse. Yeah, it sucks for actors. We're on stage exhausting ourselves for 3 hours straight, but being the director, it's just painful. It's just the worst.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely the directors.
I would not like to be a director. Like,
No, never again.
That's what I want to do with my
Never.
life. But, yeah. Lastly, for this little section, what was one of the worst days you've had in theater? Like, I'm sure you remember something.
Well, I have really bad luck around opening time for the fall show. My sophomore year, okay, this is gonna be a little bit of a trauma dump.
Okay.
My sophomore
I love
year,
that.
3 days before the show opened, my cousin disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah. Disappeared into thin air.
Oh
And
my gosh.
he disappeared Monday, and I was literally with him sitting next to him at a family dinner Sunday night. And then
my
Monday he was just gone.
gosh.
And it
That's
was
awful.
opening night of my sophomore year, my first show in high school. I was like, I don't know if my cousin's okay. And so that sucked.
Oh.
And then Hairspray, I got really, really sick right before the show opened. And then with Beauty and the Beast, I had to have foot surgery.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
No, that was Mean Girls. Mean Girls, I had foot surgery right before. Beauty and the Beast, my feet just sucked. So I tend to have really bad luck right before shows open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
Yeah.
Did they find your cousin?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, so now we're to production. What was the hardest scene you had to rehearse for Mean Girls?
Ugh, my song, it sucked. I had to do it a million times because luckily it's perfectly in my range, so I can like head voice and mix parts of it. But trying to balance sounding good and getting everybody to feel things sucked. There was
Yeah,
one
yeah.
point where it was a leads only rehearsal, so they had all of the other leads surrounding me. I was in the middle of them in a circle. Coates played my song and she said, make them feel things. And she told them, so she told me that my goal was to get them all within arm's length in the 2.5 minutes that this song is, but they can only move if I made them feel things, if I made them feel emotions and sat. And so I was
wow.
oh, great. We did that like 3 times before I was actually able to get everybody, and balance it sounded good and getting everybody to feel things. So it was a long process getting that song.
Did anyone mess with you when you were doing that? They were like, no.
No, because we all trust each other and respect each other enough to know that like I know that they're only gonna move if they feel things, and so if they're not moving, then I know I need to step it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's amazing.
It takes a lot of trust to do that kind of thing with people.
What are your favorite and least favorite scenes from Mean Girls?
Oh, my favorite scene was probably Fearless. I loved that one so much. It's such a fun dance, and I just love that scene. Also, my costume in that scene was my all-time favorite out of all of them. It was the denim miniskirt and the red tank top.
Oh, yeah.
I love that costume so much. It's my favorite. But it was just such a fun scene. It was so fun to rehearse, and I get to crash out a little bit, and so that was really fun. Yeah, I loved that scene. That was a good scene. I would say my least favorite scene. I don't know. I had a really sucky quick change in Act 2. Very beginning of Act 2, right after stop, we're sitting at the ice cream table, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still in that red tank top and the mini skirt. And then we get off stage after that scene, and I have about 30 seconds to change into that dress that I have in the next scene. Because Katie walks away, she talks to her parents, talks to Aaron. I'm back on stage in a completely different outfit.
Oh, wow.
So that was probably my least favorite part of the whole show. It was the worst trying to get on and off for that one.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so stressful.
Did it go well most times? Or
Yeah, we changed my costume for, I wasn't initially in the tank top and the skirt. I wasn't initially in that one. I was in a green jumper. So, and we figured out that the skirt and the tank top was a lot easier to change.
Yeah.
So, it took a lot of time and practice, but we got there.
Are you going to continue to do theater after?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I love doing shows at the Terrace.
yeah.
So I'm actually planning on auditioning for one that's happening over the summer. It's Wizard of Oz. They're doing it.
nice.
I love Wizard of Oz. So I'm really excited about that. But I love theater so much. I couldn't ever just leave it behind. It's always going to be part of me, and it's always going to be something that I can go back to.
What do you plan on doing?
So I'm gonna take a gap year next year, right? And then I'm either gonna go on a mission or I'm gonna go down to UVU and major in film and media production.
Sweet, that's amazing.
That's the whole reason I took this class.
Oh yeah.
To get a head start.
Yeah, how has theater changed your life? We'll end there.
I would say it's changed my life by helping me overcome a bunch of fears. I hate public speaking.
Yeah.
As most people do. It's kind of the worst thing on earth. But it's doing theater has helped a ton because I'm putting myself out there. Yes, as a different person. I'm not myself when I'm on stage performing, but it's helped me become a lot more confident for sure.
Yeah.
Because sophomore year, I was crazy, but I was not confident. And now at this point in my life, I feel confident in myself. I feel confident about my abilities and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like most of that has come from theater.
That's amazing.
It forces me to go out of my comfort zone and take risks and be vulnerable. So, yeah.
That's amazing, yeah.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to come back next time where we will be doing something.
But we don't know yet.
We don't know.
And make sure to leave your feedback in the comments. And yeah.
So that's it with
Maddie
and Maddie.
And Lilianne.
Bye.